Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, thousands flock to county beaches trying to escape temperatures in the 90s and 100s. And tonight's Chargers game is a history maker no matter what the final score, all because of one woman.
And a corporate tax transparency bill is headed to the state Senate. We'll have both sides of the issue in just a few minutes, plus a passionate interview with a supporter and an opponent of East County's controversial Tule Wind Project, just approved by county supervisors.
Politics and philanthropy are a tricky combination. Plans to make over Balboa Park are just the latest example. We'll look at the tough questions it raises. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. California's power grid operators asking customers to go easy on electricity in the next few days. Excessive heat is putting extra demand on a system already strained by the shutdown of the San Onofre nuclear plant. So a flex alert has been issued through Sunday, asking people to turn the thermostat up to 78 and avoid using major appliances in the afternoon. The hot weather sent a lot of folks to the beach today, where temperatures were in the upper 70s along the coast. That was 10 to 20 degrees cooler than the inland areas. Lifeguards say the crowds have been thinning up to now because school is about to start.
There's a heat wave going on, and so there's a lot of people that wouldn't ordinarily come to the beach that are here. So boardwalks are packed, the beach is packed, real estate is at a premium, and the lifeguards are busy.
So how hot was it? Here's a look at some of the temperatures at about 2:30 this afternoon. 114 degrees in the desert of Borrego Springs, 90 in Poway, 79 downtown San Diego. And we had some weird weather too. A thunderstorm dropped heavy rain and about half an inch of hail near Palomar Mountain. The thunderstorm also started 2 brush fires in that area. San Diego is under a hiring freeze until it creates a 401k program for new city employees. It's a requirement of the voter-approved pension reform law. There is an exception for hiring new police officers. The city is working with its employee unions to develop the new pension plan. City services could be affected if there's no agreement in the next couple of months. California's Attorney General is suing a major veterans charity, accusing its directors of misusing private donations. Kamala Harris says leaders of Help Hospitalize Veterans took funds intended for vet programs and used them for perks like pensions and golf memberships. The group is based in Riverside County. Its website says it provides therapeutic arts and crafts material to vets in the hospital. The lawsuit seeks to recover more than $4 million. Help Hospitalize Veterans ranks among the top 1% of charities in the nation for the amount of money it raises every year. The Chargers are playing their first preseason game tonight against the Green Bay Packers. The tailgating started early this afternoon. Parking lot at Qualcomm Stadium was packed by 4 o'clock. The game is a sellout and a history maker, too. KPBS reporter Kyla Calvert joins us from the News Center to explain why. Kyla, tell us about Shannon Easton and how she made it into tonight's officiating crew.
Well, Shannon Easton is the first woman to officiate an NFL game, and normally she officiates college games. She's been reffing football for about 16 years, and tonight she is overseeing the Packers-Chargers game as a temporary replacement. The NFL has locked out its normal referees over a salary and benefits dispute, and until that dispute is over, Easton will be part of the temporary pool of fill-ins. So
you kind of answered the question, but is this a one-time thing? Will football fans see more of her?
Well, they will see more of her, while the lockout lasts. But even once the dispute is over, there are several women in the pipeline on the way to becoming permanent NFL officials.
All right. KPBS reporter Kyla Calvert. And just before halftime, the Chargers are leading the Packers 14-0. A new study says strict air pollution laws are helping to clear the air in Southern California. The federally funded study says the regulations have led to cleaner cars and cleaner fuels. It says the level of some pollutants was cut in half from 2002 through 2010. Solana Beach is the first city in San Diego County to ban plastic shopping bags. The coastal city wants to promote a more sustainable community while reducing plastic waste harmful to beaches and marine life. The law goes into effect today and specifically bans single-use plastic at grocery stores and pharmacies. All other retailers in the area will have to do so beginning in November. Now, stores are charging 10 cents for a paper bag to encourage customers in the area to bring reusable bags. The ban will eventually cover 160 stores in Solana Beach.
People don't recognize, they understand the environmental impacts of the plastic bags, but they don't sometimes recognize that the taxpayers have to pay the cost to clean up all this plastic. It goes into our ocean here through the streams into the ocean. It's harmful to sea life. It's bad for tourism when you see plastic, in the ocean and on the beaches.
About 50 cities in California have banned the use of plastic bags. However, produce and restaurant bags are not subject to the law. A major wind energy project has gotten approval from county supervisors. Peggy Pico takes a closer look at who's for and against it.
The County Board of Supervisors granted permits yesterday to the Tule Wind Project, which could consist of more than 125 wind turbines on about 700 acres in San Diego's East County. And the project will add new transmission lines to deliver the clean energy to 60,000 homes in the county. In support of the project is Tule developer Harley McDonald of Iberdrola Renewables, and opposed is Donna Tisdale, chair of the Boulevard Planning Group. Thank you both for being here. Harley, tell us about these turbines. Describe them for us and why they are going to go on this site.
The turbines are modern technology. They're approximately 420 feet tall. We haven't chosen what turbine technology, and the 420 feet is from the base of the turbine to the blade at the 12 o'clock position. And we chose this area because it has wind, and it's one of the few places left in California that still has wind viable for a utility scale project.
Donna, you're opposed to the wind turbines. You have a few, at least two main concerns, one of them being health. Tell me why what seems pretty innocuous, these tall windmills are a health concern.
They emit low-frequency noise, vibrations that can have been measured out to 10, 11 miles, and they also produce electrical pollution through stray voltage that's discharged into the ground and migrates into people's homes.
And you've actually heard some studies, or you've looked into some studies about this?
I've done all kinds of research. We've got turbines existing in our community now, the Kumeyaay wind turbines, that are making people sick, and complaints coming in from at least a 3-mile radius. And we need to know what's happening there before anybody else approves any other turbines so close to homes, which they're doing here and in our regional park.
And Harley, you also, your company also has looked at some of the health impacts of these. Tell me about what you found out.
Absolutely. Health studies have been done for several years, and we haven't found a study that has been scientifically proven and peer-reviewed, and what we can only do is go on what the science says. And the turbines that we got approved yesterday with the county, in county's jurisdiction, are going to be at least 1 mile away from the nearest residence.
Aside from the health...
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. There's a lot of valid science, peer-reviewed, and you're not going to find what you're not looking for. So in my opinion, and what my research, what the wind industry does, and everybody supports it, it's borders on fraud and constructive fraud.
Okay, we have two differences of opinions here. Let's talk a little bit about the fire concerns. I want to ask you, Harley, first. So there were some fires that were caused by transmission lines here in 2008 and 2009. What are you doing with these new transmission lines, if anything, to prevent fires or try to preempt that from happening?
Well, our transmission lines will be APLIC compliant, which is the Avian Power Line Interaction Committee. And the lines are actually spaced a little bit further apart on the poles, which allows them, even in high winds, so that they don't touch, which is what caused the fires before, and also it does help avoid any avian impacts. But more than that, we've worked with the county fire and rural fire to come up with an incredibly robust fire protection plan, and yesterday in the county meeting, the fire group said that it's state-of-the-art, and they were happy with it. And they're
retired Cal Fire Battalion Chief disagreed with that, and Iberdrola has had at least three fires since May on turbines that they own.
Okay, the fire is definitely a concern to you, but in addition to that, state law requires that the county be powered by 30% of renewable energy by 2020.
All that could be done here on rooftops and parking lots and with combined heat and power. I think years ago the Navy wanted to get off of the grid, go combined heat and power, and SDG&E fought it. Why? Because they get paid over 11% guaranteed rate of return on infrastructure. So they like big and remote projects that have lots of infrastructure. This project doesn't even have a power purchase agreement yet. You have to ask them why.
Are you against all turbines or just turbines in East
We
County?
welcomed the Kumeyaay wind turbines when they first came to our community. We thought they were clean and green. That has been far from reality, and my research shows that I would not want them anywhere near people, within at least 5 or 6 miles, and I would not want them anywhere near endangered species or sensitive areas. They're, in my opinion, high cost, low value, not necessary.
So Harley, what is next? Where do you go from here?
Well, what's next is we have the county permit, so now we need to get building permits, and eventually we are working on the permits for state and tribal land, and we hope to start construction sometime in the next year.
And how about for you? Are you going to fight this in court?
We're looking at all of our options now, and we're going to act on every one we can.
Okay, thank you both for talking about this today. You can get more information on the Tule Wind Project by going to our website, kpbs.org.
Lawyers for Colorado shooting suspect James Holmes say he is mentally ill and they want more time to assess his condition. San Diego native is accused of killing 12 people and injuring 58 others last month during the premiere of the newest Batman movie. Court papers show Holmes was under a psychiatrist's care before the shootings. 67 years ago, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. Today's anniversary was remembered in San Diego. The memorial on Shelter Island included survivors from Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which was bombed 3 days earlier. More than 70,000 people died in Nagasaki alone.
It's very important to take a day to thank for friendship and peace and remembering the past and history, not for the blame, not for the criticism, but just learning from the past and also not wasting the very valuable lives that were lost.
The Japanese surrendered 6 days after the bombing of Nagasaki. Allied leaders say without the atomic bombs, many more lives would have been lost in an invasion of Japan. San Diego, like many other cities, is increasingly relying on public-private partnerships to help get things done, but it's also raising some difficult questions for people involved in the process. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr takes a closer look.
The worlds of politics and philanthropy collided earlier this summer when the San Diego City Council approved a controversial plan to revamp parts of Balboa Park.
And that measure passes 6-1.
The man behind the plan is billionaire Qualcomm founder Irwin Jacobs. Some praised Jacobs for his involvement. Others blasted him for using his money to get what he wants. But Jacobs is certainly not the only philanthropist to weigh in on the city's future.
Philanthropy has long played a role in shaping San Diego, whether the gifts come from everyday citizens or bigger donors. And recent talks about renovating Balboa Park have started a discussion about the role philanthropy plays in local government.
Since San Diego was founded, the names of influential men have graced buildings around town, from the Horton Theater to the Spreckles Organ Pavilion. But University of San Diego history professor Iris Ingstrand says back in those days, people didn't have a lot of extra money, so they weren't really philanthropists like we think of them today. Rather, they were businessmen looking to make a profit. She says the first real San Diego philanthropist was a woman, Ellen Browning Scripps.
She spent most of her time trying to figure out ways to help the city and the Natural History Museum Scripps Institution of Oceanography, Scripps Hospital, Bishop's School.
Today, the name Scripps can be easily found around town, along with the names Copley, Prebys, and of course, Jacobs. But while these high-profile donors receive a lot of attention, Charlene Pryor with the San Diego Foundation says the majority of giving comes from everyday people supporting causes close to their hearts. She says that's evident in the connections the foundation makes between people and charities.
1,800 relationships of all sizes, shapes, and colors, and forms and interests.
Pryor says religion generally tops the list of causes people donate to. Health and environment issues are also popular, and arts and culture are growing. Laura Dietrich agrees that sometimes causes get trendy. She's the executive director of the Center for Nonprofit and Philanthropic Research at the University of San Diego. Dietrich says such trends can be tricky for governments. For instance, right now, Price Charities is focusing a lot of resources on San Diego's City Heights neighborhood. While that neighborhood is receiving much needed attention, Dietrich points out other areas with similar needs aren't as lucky. She says that's something that needs to be dealt with as public-private partnerships become more common.
You know, the rule book isn't really written for that, right? I think that it's going to put a lot of pressure on public officials and politicians, just like any special interest group or anybody that comes with big money, be it a corporation or a lobbying group or whatnot, for those public officials to really hold the public's interest at the forefront and to be the guardian of that.
But what being a guardian means is up for debate. That was made clear at the city council meeting about making over Balboa Park. For more than 5 hours, the public passionately testified about both the potential harm and benefits a bypass road and parking garage could bring to the park. In the end, the council voted to approve the renovation, with many council members saying it was both a good move for the park and an opportunity the city couldn't pass up because of Jacobs' involvement. Critics of the plan say the council was pushed into a bad decision because of the money Jacobs will bring to the project. Dietrich says there needs to be a different kind of conversation.
What we need, I think, at the government level right now, we need government officials and philanthropists, nonprofit leaders sitting down and talking about listening, for one, what are the needs, not making assumptions about what the needs are in our various communities. How do we best address those needs? How do we work together to best address those needs?
And as government budgets shrink and community needs grow, it's a question cities will likely be asking themselves a lot in the future.
KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr. We also want to note Irwin Jacobs is a major supporter of KPBS. Supporters of a state proposal demanding tax transparency from large corporations rallied in San Diego and across California today. Peggy Pico has more.
It's no secret that some of the nation's biggest corporations pay little or no income tax. According to the taxpayer advocacy group Citizens for Tax Justice, the U.S. Treasury loses about $55 billion a year in corporate tax revenue. 17 major corporations in California paid no income tax between 2008 and 2010. San Diego corporate offices included on that list are Computer Sciences Corporation, Conway, Ryder System, Verizon, Wells Fargo, and Honeywell. A statewide coalition called Refund California wants to let consumers know which companies are not paying their fair share in taxes. Here to talk about corporate tax law and the bill headed to the Senate is David Lagstein of San Diego's Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, and with a specialty in taxation is Associate Professor of Accounting at SDSU College of Business, Stephen Gill. Thank you both for being here. David, why did you choose the rally this morning at SIMPRA to highlight this issue?
A lot of homeowners, community activists, union members went to SIMPRA today because they were puzzled and outraged. They made a $1.1 billion profit last year, and yet in 2010 they didn't pay any state taxes if you add up their 50 states across the country, what they paid in taxes. And I think the idea is we actually want to know how much they paid in taxes, what corporate tax loopholes that they benefited from, because the impact on our state budget is so devastating.
I want to take a quick moment to say that we asked Sempra for a comment on this, but they were unable to respond to us in time by our deadline. So this leaves me to ask you, Stephen, do tax laws favor corporations like Sempra?
Well, I don't know whether they favor corporations. The tax law is a function of what the legislatures decide to write, and favoritism would be relative to some other standard. I think that we've seen since the economy's gone down a relatively pro-growth, business-oriented tax code that's trying to stimulate the economy. Of course, that comes at a cost.
Does, David, give us the cliff notes of the version of this tax transparency bill that's headed to the Senate, AB 2439.
The tax transparency bill is very simple. They are not required. Corporations are not required, and these are, major publicly shared corporations, not mom and pop stores. They're required to disclose the amount of state taxes that they pay to give legislators and the public the information they need to make fair tax policy.
Earlier, you said that you realized that Sempra hadn't paid their taxes. If they hadn't paid them and there's no documentation of it, how do you know whether they pay what they paid or what they haven't paid?
It's confusing, and I bet the professor can explain. But there is the bottom line is there is some aggregate data available based on what they've reported among all 50 states. And in 2010, that aggregate report says that they paid $0 in taxes. What we don't know is specifically how much they paid in California. And even that figure, it's a calculation by professors, and it's not a real number that we could wrap our heads around, so we could make good policy as to passing a revenue budget that impacts the community in the way that we need.
Stephen, even if we did have all of those numbers, how can corporations that make millions or billions of dollars pay little or no taxes? Is there a tax loophole?
Well, loopholes are a pejorative statement, I would say. I think that tax expenditures are the language we use in tax policy.
I prefer giveaways, but it's okay.
And the code is built with some opportunities for business. Clearly, one is foreign profits. That's been a point of contention with policymakers for some time. Things like credits for research and development, things like accelerated deductions for investments in capital. So there are opportunities for corporations to, in fact, lower their effective tax rate. What you would find typically over the long run, however, is that barring the foreign earnings being left offshore, the amount of taxes that a corporation pays start to approach what we would expect them to pay from their statutory rate perspective anyway.
So saying there's no loopholes, David, first I'll ask you, and then you, Stephen. Let's say the Senate bill goes through and consumers know what everybody's paying or not paying. What do we do about it?
It's really hard to make good tax policy, and part of it is because the power of the lobbyists. The corporations spend a lot of money on campaign contributions and lobbyists to try and write tax code that's going to benefit them. And we think more information and more transparency will put corporations in a place where they'll need to choose between their campaign donors and creating a budget that's going to positively impact the community.
Stephen, very briefly, would it be just easier to change the tax laws for corporations?
It would. I'm not sure what disclosure to the public does to inform the tax legislators that frankly already have access to this data if they so choose to collect it. I think more of what happens is we develop a list and it starts to feel like a witch hunt. Whether it's intended to or not, how many innocent corporations do we sweep in?
All right, Stephen and David, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
In our public square tonight, a few comments about my interview on San Diego's first heat wave of the summer with tips on how to conserve energy, the county's 100 cool zones, and staying healthy in the heat. It was 97 degrees by noon at the Ramona Airport yesterday. Still, Peking Duck says local media, including KPBS, may be overreacting. Am I crazy? Or is it really not that hot? This seems pleasantly warm to me. but good to hear help exists for those in distress. Utility pleas to conserve energy, including today's Flex Alert, is an unwelcome sign of a much bigger problem, wrote Rochelle Becker. San Diegans are tired of being victims of poor SCE, NRC, and CPUC decision-making. San Diego's representatives, local and state, should demand they provide funding to help replace San Onofre with power created within San Diego. You can heat up this conversation with your own comments by following us on Twitter, Facebook, or email us at publicsquare@kpbs.org.
Recapping tonight's top stories, we're in for more excessive heat tomorrow. High temperatures drove a lot of folks to the beaches today. Lifeguards say they were kept very busy with rescues. Here's a look at some of today's temperatures around the county. An excessive heat warning continues through Friday night. San Diego is under a hiring freeze until it creates a 401k program for new city employees. It's a requirement of the voter-approved pension reform law. There is an exception for hiring new police officers. The city is working with its employee unions to develop the new pension plan. City services could be affected if there's no agreement in the next couple of months. And the Chargers are facing the Green Bay Packers in their first preseason game tonight. It's also one for the history books. It's the first time a woman has refereed an NFL game. Shannon Easton is tonight's line judge. She's been a college football referee. Easton is part of a group of replacement refs because the regular referees are locked out in a labor dispute with the NFL. And right now the Chargers are leading the Packers 14-17 at the half. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.